right, Brad, we've never tried this before, but at the beginning of the podcast, I want to try a game with you before we go into the actual show. Do you have a second for a little gamesmanship, Bradley Geiger?
Absolutely, I've got a second.
Okay, so this is I think it's called the 1, 2, 3 game, and it's often used with couples or with friends or with partners because it's interesting to see if people can get to where they need to go within 3 guesses, okay?
Yeah.
So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to count down from 3, 2, 1, and after the countdown, you and I are both going to say a word, right? Any word in the English language. You might say ant, and I will say picnic, right? Or I don't know, you could pick any word. I might say Chevy, right? I'll say Chevy, you say ant. And then what happens is we say 3, 2, 1 again, and you and I, without any other communication, try to get a word that matches what the other one says, you knowing that I said Chevy, and I knowing that you said ant. So we might both say smushed bug or something like that, right? Because you're trying to make some sort of connection between what is Chevy, what is antness, and you try to come together. So a better example might be if I said, if I said flower and you said lamp, L-A-M-P, right? Right? Flower and lamp. And then we both take a second and we think about it, and then we go 3, 2, 1, and then the next thing we say is sunlight, and we both happen to say the same thing because we made a connection between lamp and sunlight and flower, right? Okay, so do you understand the basic idea of this game?
Am I trying to get you to say a specific word, or we're trying to get to the point where we say the same word on number 3?
We're trying to get to the point where we say, without any other communication, where we say the same word unprompted. Well, prompted, but coming at it fresh from a new count of 3. Okay. Okay. So, shall we try this? I don't know if this is going to work.
This will be very. Let me think of a good word here. Okay.
All right. Ready?
Ready.
On 3, 2, 1. Right?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Paper.
Gargoyle.
Okay. Oh, gargoyle.
What did you say?
I said paper. You said gargoyle.
Paper. Gargoyle.
Let me think for a second. Paper, gargoyle.
All right.
All right. You ready?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Notre Dame.
Newspaper.
Oh, newspaper. Okay.
And what did you say?
I said Notre Dame, and you said newspaper. Because I was trying to think of what has paper, but also has gargoyles, and I was trying to think of Hunchback of Notre Dame. Okay, so now we're on Notre Dame, and you said newspapers?
Yes.
Oh, God. All right. What connects Notre Dame and newspapers? Shoot. All right. You ready? 3, 2, 1.
The Notre Dame College newspaper.
We didn't get there. So I said Greystone Inn, your comic strip. What did you say?
I said the Notre Dame College newspaper.
Oh.
Because I didn't know what name it was. All right, now let's try this one more time. Let's try it one more time.
But it's a fun game, right? Because you're trying. You see what they.
But I'm trying to steer you, and it's not.
Yeah, as am I. I'm trying to steer you too, right?
But we're trying to find one that meets in the middle.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's basically a game of connections. And apparently long-standing, one of the reasons why I wanted to try it with you, apparently long-standing romantic couples do really well with this because they kind of intuit what the other one's going to say, but they also know how to go meet them halfway. And I was like, all right, Brad and I have been friends for 20 years. Yeah. Well, surely we're going to be good at this. Turns out, no, we're not good at this.
We're terrible at it.
Look, I want you to know that Glow and I did this last night, and we got the first one in 2 guesses. So we didn't even need to get the third one. Yeah. Okay, so let's do it again.
All right.
Let me think of a book or a word. Well, that was too revealing.
Yeah.
All right. On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Shoe.
Carpet.
Okay, carpet and shoe.
Okay.
Yeah. Ready?
Man, this is tough. Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Slipper.
Padding.
Oh, padding. Shit. Padding and slipper. Okay.
Between
now we've got
padding and slipper.
So remember, we're forgetting the first round. We're only working off padding and slipper. What could be the connection of padding and slipper? Padding and slipper. Padding and slipper. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Oh, God.
Okay.
You ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1.
Fall.
Sock. What did you say?
Fall.
All right, gang. Well, we're terrible at this game. We'd be a
Well,
horrible
I was thinking of slipping and falling, like Slipper. He's a slipper.
Listen, you don't have to justify it. The point is we're not simpatico. That's the point.
My God, Dave, after almost 7 years, this is how we find out it's over.
I tell you what, the therapist is going to be like, listen, just hang it up, boys. This is not going to work.
We're not going to make it.
And on that note, I'm going to say hello, everybody, and welcome to Comic Lab, the show formerly about making comics.
And formerly about making a living from comics. I used to be Brad Geiger, the author of the Webcomics Handbook and the creator of Evil Inc.
And I'm once upon a time what I thought was his friend, Dave Kellett, the cartoonist of Drive and Sheldon, and the co-director of the comics documentary Stripped.
And this week's hour of comics and footwear advice is made possible by your support at patreon.com/comiclab. So Dave, let's talk comics.
Let's talk comics, my friend. We have a super special show this week for everybody because we have one of the Alaska Comic Camps interview that I was able to do while up in Juneau, Alaska. And for a reminder for everybody, these were conducted outside. So you may hear the occasional raven, the occasional brown bear go lumbering by, the occasional pack of wolves, perhaps, possibly a lumber truck rumbling through the valley that echoed oddly loudly. But today's interview was done with two of my favorite people, frankly, that I consider among the funniest that I've ever met in my life. That's the highest praise that Dave Kellett can give to somebody. Gillian Goerz and Ryan North. Honestly, two people that make Alaska Comics Camp so damn fun for me. But let me give you an intro as to who they are in case you have not been so lucky enough to encounter their work yet. So Gillian is a cartoonist, a graphic recorder, and an illustrator, and her work has been seen in the New York Times, the Walrus, the Globe and Mail. Her clients include Audi, Volkswagen, the Canada Opera Company, and more. But the thing you should most look for after this interview are her two delightful YA graphic novels, Shirley and Jamila Save Their Summer, and Shirley and Jamila's Big Fall, which was also a Doug Wright Award winner.
Wow.
And again, Gillian, one of my favorite people in the world. The other one, Ryan North, his recent work includes the nonfiction book How to Take Over the World and How to Invent Everything, the semi-fictional graphic novel adaptation of Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-5. I'm not familiar. What is this Kurt Vonnegut fellow? I'm not so sure. And he's currently writing the Fantastic Four series for Marvel. Again, a title I'm not familiar with. What is this Fantastic Four thing? Now, keep in mind, in the interview ahead, Ryan is an intensely busy man, Brad, so he won't have time to say the full phrase Fantastic Four. So at some occasions, you may hear him say FF because he doesn't have time, Brad. He's a man on the go. He can't slow down and say Fantastic Four. It's too many syllables.
3 syllables is a lot.
Yeah, it's too many syllables. So if you hear FF, just cut Ryan some grace here and allow him that possibility of just saying FF. So Ryan is also a multiple New York Times bestselling author whose work has been translated into 16 languages. And I believe, I should have researched this, I believe he's won 4 Eisners. It's so many, gang, that I have lost track of how many Eisners Ryan has.
Multi-Eisner winner.
Ryan, save some Eisners for the rest of us. But anyway, here is a wonderful sit down that I did with Gillian and with Ryan about writing specifically humor, about story creation, character creation. I think we did some stuff about writer's block. But anyway, they are two of my most delightful friends in the world. And so let's have a listen.
We're in beautiful Alaska.
Juneau, Alaska.
Well, we're outside of Juneau, though, no? Right
But
now?
that's the
At a
closest
camp.
major-
And what event brings
That's
us
true.
to Alaska, friends?
Well, sure. We're here for Comics Camp.
Well, sure.
All right, then.
Well,
The
sure.
game is going into the woods with
Hey.
no internet access, which is actually my favorite part of it. No internet access, and you sit in the woods and you talk comics, and everyone's just a cartoonist of various stripes. Some new, some old, some young, some established. And we all just meet as peers and discuss the craft and have a good time.
And
You got a lot of questions, smart boy.
Because Gillian, Ryan, because I undoubtedly did wonderful research about both of you and did a lovely intro at home when I can have titles in front of me and everybody's suitably praised. I will just say, now that we are in the conversation, this is two of my favorite people in the world. They are so
Standard
funny
intro.
and so charming and so delightful to be around. They actively make me funnier. They make me want to create things, which is one of the highest compliments you can give someone. I come away from 5 days with you in Alaska a happier person with a fuller heart. I'm not just saying this because
This is why
I'm
your
at a
comics-
I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, speak the gratitude that you feel. You know what I mean?
Your
And so-
comics' biggest charmer, and this is why I'm looking right at it, looking down the barrel of it.
Looking down the barrel of the charisma gun.
Yeah. Two shining beacons rocking right at me in those peepers.
but let's talk about joy for a second, because why not? The two of you exhibit such joy both in life and in your work. But why comics? What did comics get for you that nothing else offered? That you're like, this is where I can best express myself in the world, is comics.
I have a boring answer, a more interesting one.
No, you start boring and then I'll come in interesting
Good
and
idea.
sound so much more interesting just generally. That's a good setup
So-
for me.
You'll be hype.
Yeah, please.
So let's start with the homework. What I love about comics is the same thing I love about video games, which is they are both.
Oh, sorry, I just fell asleep.
This is me actively editing at home, just cutting away.
They're both young media, which means we don't know where the walls are.
Oh,
And my
okay.
definition of a great comic, and I'm sure it's similar to yours, is that, yeah, it's got great art, great story, made you feel something, whatever, but it's probably also doing something with the form that you haven't seen done before. And that is an incredibly high bar to clear that comics does routinely, because you've only got about a century's worth of actual work in this particular flavor of the form. Yeah, you got, cave pictures 6,000 years ago, but when I see a great game, when I see a great comic, they're showing me something new. When I see a great novel, it's still a novel. I know where the walls are there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the sense of possibility of not knowing how far the horizon goes is something really appealing to me.
Right now, there's a Victorian screaming through history like, I put letters in my novel. Down with you. I was breaking down the walls.
You said that was going to be a boring answer, and it wasn't. Now
Yeah,
I
that
have
was
to
actually-
do something.
I will tell you that in 25 years of cartooning, I've never looked at it that way. So that's a sincere thank you for that.
But I feel very much the same way. I have to agree completely. It's, I also do this other job, graphic recording, which is, kind of a corporate extension of cartooning / infographics / And I like it for the same reason. It has yet to be codified. Like, I mean, I think that's happening now, but when I was in university, you couldn't really, there was maybe one like sequential narrative class, but like it hasn't become something that a university institute is making a huge amount of money with for that long. Now people are, you can do comics degrees or whatever, probably somewhere. But I like it better when it's a thing that people are less shy about having to get a degree for, because that's such a permission to do it. When there are no walls, anybody can do it because it can look any kind of way.
Right.
And it has this sort of like, grassroots maker energy. Like that's the nature of cons and fests and whatever, is that it's like, especially TCAF, which is the one I'm the most familiar with, the Toronto Comic Arts Festival. It's so much more like, oh, so-and-so uses screen printing. Here's a little collective of weirdos that make Riso prints. It's not, it's not like slick off the market, I don't know, like there are some Marvel artists there doing commissions, but it's more about like kind of the gritty, make it yourself, tell your own thing, blah, 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 blah.
Does the format, does the medium benefit from the fact that there's not a huge amount of money in it?
Like you have to be passionate about to do it. That's like that passion exploitation, sort of.
Like yes and no.
Or is that holding it back?
Well, yes, in that lower barrier to entry. No one feels like, oh, I haven't gone to school for comics, so I can't make comics.
Right, like, I'm not good enough. Yeah, I'm not worthy of this. Yeah,
all those are the advantages of being at the bottom of the cultural hierarchy in North America. Like, we're not movie stars. We're not TV stars. We're not stage stars.
We're not game developers.
We're not game devs. We're comic artists. It's right at the bottom in terms of like, I say it as a joke, but it's serious. Like it's not prestigious in the same way.
Yeah, it's parallel to Street Magician. Yeah,
it's not prestigious, but it's so friendly.
Yeah.
I feel like I moved since I used to live in Toronto. Now I live in a smaller city. And the way that people are so like surprised and delighted if I say that my job is a cartoonist, they're like, so what do you do? They're like, really? I never met one of you. Like it's they're both surprised, delighted, but they're not intimidated. You know what I mean? It's like, well, so you're making newspaper strips, you're writing political comics. I'm like, no, blah, 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 graphic novels for kids, yada, yada. And then they're like, for kids, that's even more accessible. Tell me more about it. You must be nice.
So I use
and that's where they're wrong.
I use this at like parties if I'm meeting someone and I'm like, I don't really want to talk to this person. I'll just say I'm a writer.
Oh,
or
they're
like
gone.
Self-employed means I don't want to talk to you. Writer's like not that interesting. Because no one's like, oh, I'm self-employed. Oh my God, here we go. But if I say I'm a cartoonist, then that's why I want to talk to you, because I know it's intrinsically interesting.
You're smart to use, like, you've got a codified system of
I know. I love
How
that you
boring
stratified it.
do I want to hear?
It's like, do I really not want to talk to you? I'm an eBay reseller. That's what I do.
Yes, I do
Gotta go to the other side of the party.
I've got multi-level marketing, and actually I have a few products in my pocket
Yeah,
right now
exactly.
you're
Well,
going to love.
That's what's so good about self-employed.
Because do I have a juice for you?
That's what's so good
You
about
familiar
self-employed.
with the
that it
products of
encompasses
Norwex?
that. And you're like, oh, he's in a pyramid scheme. Like, he's
Yeah,
gonna sell me something.
run.
I run my own
Run.
business.
Oh, I run my own business. I gotta go.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Run away.
Yep. So it's great to have, I'm not lying, but there's degrees of accuracy that I'm being more or less interesting, more or less approachable, more or less friendly.
You're really feeding the people into the streams of like gameplay for the future. It's like you meet a villager in the woods. Do you tell him you're a cartoonist, you're a writer, you're an entrepreneur, you're a male feminist ally / hero? You know, like pick your poison, and then it'll determine how the next steps go.
Yep.
Well, let me get hoity-toity for a minute. So separate from, it brings in a paycheck, separate from you love to do it.
For the listener, he's just put on a top hat and a monocle.
Yes, and my posture's gotten 10% better.
Yeah.
What is your purpose in making comics? What is it? Is it on a scale? Is it entertainment? Is it edification? Is it education? Is it empathy engine? Is it to make the world better? Is it to make you better? This is fun.
I got a boring answer. Do you want to?
No, please.
Okay.
I love how all of these start with, well, first I've got a boring answer.
This is the thing you say to lower expectations, and then your answers sound more interesting.
This is you
Hold
saying
tight
I'm
to
an
that
eBay. This is the conversational version of you're an eBay reseller is what this is.
I've got a boring answer. Close your ears. The sincere boring answer is I remember being younger, all the way up to like 23, 24. And it's like, what am I doing with this life? Yeah. Like, what does a life well lived look like? How do you do the maximum good with the life that you have? And those are big questions. Those are largely unanswerable questions. But I found a life hack through it, which was like, I don't know the best way to live a life. I don't know the best way to use the resources I have to do the most good. But I have some experience with being human, and I know that those humans require entertainment to live a full life. And so I don't have to answer the question. If I can do the entertainment part well enough, I can help someone else who is a much more gifted, talented person to change the world that much for the better. So it's a little rhetorical trick that gave me the ability to stop worrying so much about what am I doing with my life every morning and every night at 3 a.m. and being like, if I can just do some really good entertainment, self-serving, because I like comics, I like figuring them out and playing with them, then that allows me to feel like I'm doing something good with the time that I have.
Right.
Which circles back to, why do you do this? Try to make the world a better place through whatever humble means you've got.
I love
boring
that answer.
Oh my God,
not boring.
So it's very sincere. I did it for the big bucks, the glamour, the fashion, and the fame. Yeah.
People at home need to know she's flashing the Prada shoes at this point. Just letting the heel be seen. Is Prada the shoe with the red heel? What's the shoe
That's
with the
Louboutin?
Louboutin.
That was a trick question. You knew the answer.
Oh, now I'm fancy.
Beethoven Smith on an air horn.
I do love that. I knew that there was a shoe that had a red sole, but I did not know what the fuck. Anyway, keep going.
We keep it real.
Yeah, so real. Not like me.
We're down here in the gutters. You're up looking at the stars over there.
I'm literally wearing fake plastic Birkenstocks that are from the Dollarama right now, just to...
This is true.
I'm wearing Crocs with Ninja Turtle giblets on them.
But yours are brand name Crocs. You paid top dollar for those.
No, they have a sale at the end of the year. You get the Crocs no one wanted.
The cartoonists and writers be shopping sales.
Yeah, sure. Name of the game, saving money.
Penny saved is a penny out. That's what I would say.
This is for listeners at home. This is Gillian actively avoiding the answer to for this one. So why do you do it?
Why do I do it?
Wasn't that the prompt? I forget if that was the prompt. It was.
Why do you make comics, Gillian?
Yeah. Why?
I don't know. I mean, I was very much a kid who was good at drawing at a young age, and then didn't stop doing it as a result of getting early praise for it. You know,
right?
And so I kind of think that I always did it. I didn't do it for. This is set up poorly. I always did it as a little kid. I was an only child, spent a lot of time by myself. I would just get like reams and reams of paper, make up characters, have them do stuff, next page, next page, next page. I just thought I was drawing. I didn't think I was doing comics, and I didn't clock that I was writing stories, even though I would have them like grow up. It's like, here's the parents and the kid. By the end of that pad, those kids are grown up. They married the neighbors. Now they have kids. Like, these were like sagas.
Yeah.
And in my 20s, I went to university, And I was like, well, I'm supposed to be an artist because I'm good at drawing, so I'd be an artist. Then I took painting classes. I took the blah, blah. They really wanted me to do, they really wanted everybody. This program turns out conceptual artists. And that never made any sense to me because, I was like, went straight into university out of high school. I was 18 years old. I had nothing to say.
Yeah.
What am I going to talk about? My hard life? Living in like Saskatchewan in a relatively stable province in like the highlight of like the middle class paradise.
Right.
It was like our family didn't have money, but you could still get a cheap rental and you'd have a backyard and you can walk to your school and like all that stuff. It was fine. Nothing that bad had happened to me. So it just also seemed so pretentious. I just wanted to learn how to paint really well. And they stopped giving you instruction and started to talk so much about concept and writing artist statements. And I hated it. So I quit doing that for a super long time, did every other job under the sun. I spent my entire 20s not drawing at all, really.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I worked at a newspaper. I worked as an administrator. I tried to be an actor for a while. Like I did all like amateur level, whatever. I worked every kind of job. And when I was getting towards my late 20s, I started to get that like I'm wasting my life. I'm wasting my potential. I'm wasting any sort of talents that I might have been given. I need to make a move. And I went and visited a friend in Toronto. It was one of those things where like when I got off the plane into the city, I'm like, oh, I could live here. Like some places just don't feel that way. It's like, oh, what a swell place to visit. Bye-bye. But this was like, oh, I could walk around on these streets and this could feel like my town.
Right.
Who's the friend?
You don't know her. Her name's Alana. She was my childhood next door
Morissette,
neighbor.
maybe you've heard of her?
Yeah, Alana Morissette. You maybe have heard of
She
her.
never made it big in music, but a similar name person did. It kind of used up all the oxygen in the room.
Got there 10 minutes earlier, yeah. Oh, it's a timing game.
Well, she wanted to be a singer, ironically, but here she is, languishing in obscurity.
Isn't it ironic? God damn it.
Oh, don't you
That
think?
would hurt. All right.
Well done. Well done.
So I'm gonna throw back a little bit of Ryan from yesterday. He taught me a phrase yesterday that I 100% knew already. I didn't just learn it yesterday, and that was empathy engine. And that's partially, I'm realizing, why I like being a cartoonist, because, and I'm just going to throw, not to talk about me, but just to prompt the conversation, is because we have a finite life, and this is a version of what you were saying. One of the reasons why I love to read and watch movies and read comics is you can step into 1,000 other lives. You know what I mean? You get to maximize this one life into many, right? And that's obvious. Was that a bald eagle?
It's just that's just
the
a
noise of
raven,
bald
regular
eagle in movies.
raven.
Oh, that was
Bald
just a
eagles
raven?
don't sound like that. They sound
Oh,
dorky.
I thought it was a bald
Yeah, they
eagle.
do
I got
sound
very
dorky.
excited. There's an LA boy getting very excited about the bald eagle. But I'm realizing too that there's a joy for me, separate from making comics, is that as a writer, you get, which is a different kind of living 1,000 lives, that you get to step into a life of different background, different outlook, different experiences, and there's a joy to that. And I'm wondering for the two of you, if that's at all the case. With comics, you get to step into 1,000 lives.
I mean, yeah, I think one of the, I think, real utilities of narrative is, like you say, they let you experience someone else's mistakes and learn from them without having to pay the consequences of having made those mistakes. And when you're writing, you get to explore that and be like, what if I did this?
Yeah.
Or this character did this? And what's the most interesting version of that happens? And I remember being in English classes. I was always going to be a computer guy, so I just liked English, but didn't consider it as a career. I remember being in these English classes, and they're like, all right, so you start with theme, and you want to know what you're saying with the story. And I've had stories commonly where I don't realize what the story's about till near or after it's written. Then you're like, oh, now that I know what I'm doing here, I can go and punch this up and focus what's there on turns out what I'm trying to say all along. But yeah, I think stories are a way, and comics are stories. They're a way to understand other lives, different ways of being, and to make mistakes without having to suffer.
Jillian?
Good answer.
To build off on what Gillian said.
Just riffing off that, nobody anyway. Well, because the idea that by not just as a reader, but as a writer, as a comics creator, you get to live lives that are not yours, and by doing so, you expand upon the finite time that you have on Earth. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do hear that. I think maybe this is what the empathy engine is, because I feel like I maybe missed the explanation, but it's like making emotions connectable through stories is very interesting to me. Growing up, I loved Beverly Cleary and the Ramona books, because it was like these kids' emotions, their problems are small, but the stakes are adult sized in their minds, because that's the only stakes they know. These are the only problems they have. And like having kids read that and feel related to was so special. So something that I want to do with my books and comics is show emotions in a way that people can relate to them. So, and I want them to be fun and funny. Entertainment is a huge piece of the puzzle.
Right. So let's talk for a second about something I think you said yesterday, which is how do you write, and this is partially like writing a character that is not you, but how do you write a character that is smarter than you? And you had a wonderful thing that you said about Reed Richards and writing for Reed Richards, which is a character in FF, which stands for
Fantastic Four,
which was created by
Stan Lee and Jack Kirby,
and is currently written by
Ryan North.
But you had something that I thought was really delightful because it actually speaks to a lot of what you do with Gillian, what I do with my comics, but also what you do with the smartest man on earth. I think Reed is the smartest man on earth. Is he?
Yeah, he's the smartest man in the universe. I think.
Is he?
If you ask him. But yeah, I mean the it's pithy, but it's true. Is that I have a whole month to figure out what Reed Richards is saying in that issue. Reed Richards says it off the top of the dome, and so I can go for long walks and figure out. I can do research. I can take this time to appear smart so that the smart character I'm writing who's smarter than me can be at that level.
Right. And the reason why I wanted to ask that first, because I want to pivot into humor, because you two, off the cuff, with very little prompting, are two of the funniest people that I've ever met. You are immensely talented in that. But there's something even more satisfactory when you are naturally funny, but plus time. It's kind of like a version of Reed Richards, is you can hone down to the best version of what you off the cuff could have written or thought of, right? And I don't think this is something we've talked about before, which is that we're all naturally funny. We all have, between the three of us, we all have a part of us that is the extrovert. And I don't want to put this on you, but I do feel like we wouldn't have gone into this if we didn't have a part of us that was an introvert as well. We're probably ambiverts as well.
Sure thing. He's got his money on the prize.
But is comics in a way? Did we go into comics because it was that combination of allowing the extroverted side of us plus time? Let the introverted side of us truly express themselves through comics. You get what I'm going on with there? Is that a weird way of saying that?
I was aware of this early on and worried it was something I shouldn't be doing because there was a lady I liked and I was sending her emails.
Tell us more.
I was sending her emails and
tell us less.
I was courting her through the written word. And I'm like, damn, I'm sparkling here and I am overselling what the experience of being with me in real life is like. It reminds me, you're a friend of mine, Joey and Emily, did a comic called The Softer World. The Softer World was photos with captions on top. And then Joey wrote it. Emily took the photos. One day, Joey entered a photo captioning contest on IO9 for a prize, and he won. And the top comment was, "That's not fair. This guy captions photos for a living." And I was like, we're all like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Got his number.
Fair point. Fair point. Yeah.
And so I recognized early on that I do like writing and I have the time to make it do it the best that I can.
Yeah.
But am I false advertising the experience of being with me in a romantic sense because I'm going to need that half hour to think of the perfect thing to say half an hour ago?
Yeah.
At least you're not hopefully trying to romance anybody with your comics at this point. So I think
I have to say, this wedding ring comes right off, Ryan. Right off.
It really does.
You've been rubbing butter on your fingers all day, just ready to slide that ring off.
To go.
That's what happens when the ring gets stuck.
Ladies, if you catch him in the kitchen rubbing butter in his fingers.
You know you're in trouble. There's an email coming your way later that afternoon. Give him about 2 to 3 hours, though. He's going to need some time to craft it.
It is not off the top of
have slick fingers? He's probably married.
I had a similar thing actually in my early internet dating adventures when I was in my 20s, where it was the Plenty of Fish days. And I was good in writing and people can be good in writing back. And then you meet them in person and it's sort of so. I also did the thing where the conversation is so sparkling in email that by the time you meet them, you don't have anything to talk about anymore. I burned all my good stories too quick, which is something I worry about with comics. It's like, I don't have as storied a career as the two of you. It's like, what if I run out of stories?
That was the thing I worried about in my 20s. And
wow, and here I am like an idiot doing it later.
No, but so pull up your socks and get with the program. What helped me with it, because I was like, I probably only got 7 good ideas. and then doing
3 are the hero's journey.
3 are the hero's journey. 4 save the cat. I'm completely out.
For those listening at home, Ryan, I think we can unabashedly say a huge fan of both the hero's journey and Save the Cat.
I don't hate them
loves
at
it.
all. I don't hate them at all. But then doing a daily comic where that deadline was always there, you realize, you internalize the idea that it's not the idea, it's the instantiation of the idea. And I can say, Gillian, space wizards, and some guy might do Star Wars, some guy might do something else that's better or worse. But it's not, the idea of space wizards isn't enough. It's the work you put into the idea. So I stopped worrying about running out of ideas at that point and being like, tell stories.
I mean, there's always that space wizard well to go back to too.
Always.
No, but I like that idea though, that like paring ideas back really to the bone, you can build them back up in a completely different direction, which Shakespeare did with the Decameron. People have done it with Shakespeare, and all 3 of us have done it in
I
individual
collaborated
storylines.
with Bill on a couple books.
That's true.
That's true. You did. That's true. And let's not go too far in the conversation without noticing how well you used instantiation, which is, I mean, that's not something one casually drops in conversation.
It's a real Reed Richards move.
That's a real.
It's also a computer science term where you instantiate a class, so it's
Oh.
Wow,
I've been
ladies,
trying for it.
form an orderly
so
line.
he's also a
Form an
scientist.
orderly
Hubba,
line. I'm just
hubba.
saying the butter is on the finger. That's all I'm saying. Well, let's talk about humor for a minute. How do you know? Because I had this with friends of mine who will go unnamed who wrote a movie, and in the process of animating that movie over 2-3 years, they came to hate every single joke in the movie.
yeah.
By the way, short version, the movie was delightful. Every joke worked. It all landed. But they came to hate every joke because they'd
that
been working on it for
name,
3 years.
George Lucas.
I think I know who it is.
Was Steven Spielberg. And that movie was
Schindler's List.
It's Schindler's List. That's a better pitch.
We got to cut out all these jokes.
Yeah. These
They're
gotta
really
go.
fighting the tone.
No. But I don't want to throw them under the bus. But anyway, so in your writing humor, how do you've come up, again, 2 of the funniest people I know, you've written a joke, it's on the page, you come back to it a week later. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it. How do you know to trust yourself? What gives you the tools to trust yourself? How do you know when it's the right place to stop, or whether you should keep instantiating on that joke? If I might just use a new word there that no one's dropped in the conversation.
Almost use the word correctly.
Listen, if I had to instantiate on that question, I think what I would say is that do I still think it's funny? It's dumb and easy. It's like, is it funny yesterday or overnight? Did some sort of magical thing happen that made my joke get bad? If only there was a name for such a thing.
We should talk about that, because we gave a panel talk yesterday at camp where I talked about using time as an editor, where you write a thing. It doesn't have to be humor. It can be any idea, any instantiation of an idea. And,
You used it correctly that time.
Okay, but using time as an editor, where you write a thing, you leave a thing, you walk away from the thing, you come back to the thing. Is it still good? Does it still work? Does it come in fresh? And Ryan said,
Do you want this immortalized forever?
Yeah, imagine you have
I
an
think you do.
idea and you share this idea with your friends, and then they all make it into a dirty sex joke. So I describe this process as the suck fairy. Comes overnight, and then when you wake up in the morning, you see the suck fairy has come, because what you wrote that was good now sucks.
Were we the first ones to really clue into
point
you
out
that
to
that
you-
might be something that could go dirty?
Yes.
the phrasing of that might be problematic
But
in the way that the suck fairy comes and makes
overnight.
you feel a certain way overnight.
I gotta tell you, the first time I heard suck fairy, I instantiatingly knew that it was absolutely had a lot of room for dirtiness.
Look, we've all instantiated here and there.
Listen, after this interview, I might have to go instantiate. I don't know what's going to happen.
You gotta leave room for the suck
But
fairy.
the suck fairy is the idea that you're like, this is brilliant. I'm going to bed. I'm the best writer that's ever existed. You wake up in the next morning, the suck fairy has visited you, and now the
I hear it now. I hear it now.
No, but you look at the exact same page that you went to bed going, this is brilliant. Everything is gold. Stan himself couldn't have written this better. And then you wake up in the morning and you say,
It's no good now.
This sucks. Yeah.
So I will rewrite it then. I will say the only way I know to write comedy is if it makes myself laugh. And so it's why I don't know people write in coffee shops, because I don't want to be the guy in a coffee shop typing at my keyboard going, like, it's mortifying. So I write where no one can see me. I hide my shame. But there's two ways that can happen.
It's both mortifying and instantiating, I think, when that happens.
Instantiating to be
so
very core.
instantiating.
I feel like instantiated like right out the toes.
Yeah. That's the suck fairy's job. That's not your job to do that.
There's two ways it can happen. One is you leave it and the suck fairy comes. The other is you spend too much time with
Can we
it.
say the suck fairy arrives? Could that be a way?
Yeah,
we could
that's
phrase it?
arriving may be
Oh,
better.
right.
Did you not hear that? Jeez
No.
Louise. All right, God.
No,
There's a
sorry.
reason why the whole room laughed. All right, well, anyway, keep going.
The suck fairy climax. But if you read the same joke too much, like your friends who were editing this movie for 2 years, there's no surprise. A lot of humor is the surprise, the twist, the unexpected.
Right.
And when you know where that's going, it's not going to be funny.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why I love to hang out with people who are funnier than me, like right now, because
Hey.
we all have different ways to get somewhere. And when you say something that surprises me and I laugh, part of me is like, all right, we have a new path to get there.
A new neural pathway. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do feel like that with hanging out with the two of you or with anybody that I truly enjoy their sense of
No,
humor.
just the two of us.
Specifically just you, only that instantiation, is that I often think about that it feels like a new neural pathway in comedy has been formed. I'm like, aha, I now know a new framework that I can build to get to a joke.
But do you ever have shame about borrowing that pathway? Like it's, you know how like
No. Absolutely.
internet jokes
No, I
get
was just
so
kidding.
played out?
What's the deal with
You know what I
stealing
mean?
people's
Or like-
joke formats?
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I've been Ryan North. I'm just saying.
I mean, it's true. Sometimes I'll leave a good joke in behind because I feel like I'm just biting someone's rhyme.
Sometimes, yes.
Good turn of phrase there. Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking yesterday about comedy, and I was saying how my wife doesn't like to go to stand-up comedy with me because I'm also running that algorithm constantly during the show. And so when the comedian tells a joke, I either won't laugh because I already arrived there before the comedian could say it and told
Right.
the joke to myself.
You saw
in a
the
poor way.
superstructure being
and I was
built.
like, all right, that's funny, but no laugh. Or I'm running ahead and it is funny, and then I'm laughing before the comedian tells the punchline, which steps on what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
a really unfair way. But you're always, I think if you enjoy being funny or want to be funnier, you're always running that little A/B test in the back of your head
Yes.
to give you those quips. And a lot of it is, I think so much of comedy is relying on luck and faith in yourself, because when you're talking back and forth, you're going to be quick. You may not know exactly what you're going to say
Yeah.
when you say it, and you have to trust.
That's true.
That
Yeah.
it's gonna-
You
that
have to
you're
make the
gonna
leap.
share.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
got to. Yeah. But one of the things that I so love and admire about the two of you is you make the leaps in ways that because I'm A/B testing so often, you two genuinely make a leap or a C testing in that A/B testing where I'm like,
A sea change.
genuinely would not have considered that route in comedy, and it's
But then
so
you've got it.
Yeah,
You're like,
but the surprise is so real because it's like, oh, that's great, and I store it, and even though
I don't think it's stealing,
even though
though.
I don't, yeah, because I want to pick in on that because it's a good point. I don't steal it, but what I do is kind of like the idea that you can pare back a story to the bone. I remember the structure behind that approach to humor as kind of like you were doing a 1940 news gal.
I don't know what you're talking about, Sonny.
Claim it, sweetheart.
But that
Claim it.
as
Do it.
Clam it.
that as a reaction to something that's said that's clearly misogynist, for example, and then you switch into 1940, like that's such a great go-to for that moment that I was like, something in there. I remember the superstructure of what that was. You know what I mean? Even if I don't steal the bit, I was like, oh, that's a really clever way to go back in time to a clearly identifiable voice that lives in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really, and maybe that's what you're saying is that you're not stealing the bit. You're
Cheers, Charlie.
Here, a plum tomato. Sure.
sure.
That's
That's
for
what
sure.
can do. All right, we'll get that story out today. Today, I say.
Last time we were at comics camp, we delighted people by talking like this for a very, very long time.
Never got old.
What was funny, and I said this the other day, is that we were sitting around a campfire doing that voice, and people would come up and you'd see them approach in the firelight, in the way that sort of people appear in the firelight, and then they would listen for 30 seconds, and then you would just see them disappear like Homer back in the bush.
To
They'd be
go
like,
bring
yep,
others in
well,
because it's
that's
so great.
Yeah.
You guys got to see this.
Yeah.
Hey, gang, if you're listening while you work, take a minute to stand and stretch.
And while you're doing that, we'll tell you why you should join us on Patreon.
Yeah, because when you do, you'll get hours and hours of podcasts that we've recorded just for backers.
And exclusive Patreon posts that go even deeper on Comic Lab topics.
And you'll get access to our exclusive Discord server, a thriving community of professional cartoonists.
So you can support the show you love and get tons of actionable resources for your own cartooning.
And ho Nelly, if you want even more comics goodness in your life, check out the new drawing show that we're doing with our pal Kevin McShane over at wrongwayshow.com. That's wrongwayshow.com.
In each episode, we'll show you how to draw your favorite cartoon characters the wrong way.
Now, everybody, let's talk comics. Let me switch gears. So this is kind of a fun topic, and again, praising both of you, two of the funniest people I've ever met. Did either of you
Every question needs to be prefaced with this.
Drink every time.
Listen, I just
you
want
hear
the
us.
three of us to be married. Can we do that? That's all I'm saying.
I got a buttery
You got-
finger right here.
I was going to say that. Two buttery fingers makes a
Massive butter.
throuple.
Dave Kellett
Two buttery
wants a
fingers.
happy marriage.
As they say, two buttery fingers
Makes a throuple.
So, just out of curiosity, in your younger days, did either of you do improv? Did you do stand-up? Did you do sketch comedy in college? What did you do? What made you funny, basically?
I was born naturally hilarious. Right away.
Absolutely.
Came out laughing.
100%. No, I think that I did lots of theater as a kid,
Yeah.
but I was never that good at it. So I don't know. Like I tried to do stand-up for a hot minute. Ryan saw me do stand-up once.
Yeah, did you see me do my one stand-up?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, we both saw
We've
it.
seen each other
Oh my
do
God.
stand-up.
Okay, so this is great. You did do stand-up. I also did stand-up.
I did
and
one-
not great. And yeah.
I did a tight 5. It
You-
went great.
You did it the way you should.
And
Did
my
it go
career.
great? No, in all
One-
seriousness,
one-
did it
no,
go
it
great?
did.
Yeah,
You
I opened
crushed.
for one of the kids in the hall.
Yeah.
Holy shit. All right, great.
But it sounds
Who
more
actually
impressive than it
kind
is.
of tanked. Like
Yeah, my set
his-
was better.
It really actually
Yeah,
was.
his was low probably.
Do you remember any single
Yeah.
joke from your tight 5?
That's a conversation another time. But I wanted to clarify, it's not as cool as it sounds. It was in like this comedy basement, was really just a urine smelling basement where people could try out new stuff.
Ryan, I don't want to blow your mind, but that's all comedy.
You've just
I'm glad
described.
I pulled the cord when I did.
You described every bit of comedy I've ever been into. Yeah. So
Sorry, continue your question.
Jillian was saying something that I think actually plays a part in humor, which is you weren't great at theater. Because I want to say something that I think you'll both agree with.
Actors aren't funny.
Let's hammer down on that. Let's talk about other things I'm bad at.
But it's humor as a young teen and childhood defense mechanism of making people laugh before they could ever laugh at you is a part of it. Was that something that you found it good on the school ground kind of a thing?
I think natural show off energy.
Yes. Yeah.
I have. So there's that. Like I do have the introverted thing too. Only child, spend time alone, love to read, yada yada. But I like to get a little attention. I don't mind some eyes. Pointing this way. So I think as
You
a
went
kid-
back to 1940s news goes, don't mind a couple of eyes pointed this way. Look at these legs. They go for weeks. Hey,
They go all the way up. So point your peepers this way. These slim pins aren't working for nobody. Have a look at them.
I could listen to that for 5 hours.
The way my pins look right now is
I know.
very funny in
As
conversation
you're
to this
stuffed
voice.
into what can only be described as the
Pins are
Chiquita banana of northern wear right now, bright yellow.
Dylan called me a larval Pikachu.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Very evocative.
it's quite evocative. But I think that, I mean, the thing that ended up sucking about doing stand-up, I did try to do it for a minute. I took a class, which all the comedians say, never take a class. If you're naturally funny, you never need to do that. But
Boo.
I think that's dumb because B, there's things you can learn, like just about the construction. A really, truly funny person can benefit from just knowing that like economy of language works better than like a big whole long like super verbally dense thing. And then
Yes.
when you get good, you build up to bringing words back in, etc. But the thing that sucked about it is I did try for a minute. I'm like, I think I want to do this. Think this would be fun. Stand up, great. Attention, holding microphone, yada yada. You spend all this time in these piss-soaked basements playing only to other comics who are waiting to go up, and much like you said, who aren't laughing because they know the joke.
Right.
They're just going like, later they will say, that was funny.
That was very funny.
Yeah, you get the most monotone. That was funny.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
Yeah, but no one's laughing. And I need my self-confidence needs the warm embrace of an easy laugher.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I really benefited. My friends, I have a lot of really like cheap laugh friends. And it's sort of the opposite of what you're saying of wanting people around you who are smarter and funnier, because the cheap laughers are not that discerning. But it
But I don't
it
see it as
gets the
cheap
engine.
laughing. I see it as they have really good taste. And so they're always
that's
laughing at my
nice.
jokes. And I'm like, oh, you're great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
That's a better
you
way to
two
think of
are,
it.
and I keep going back to compliments. Sorry about that. But you two,
It's
Drink.
okay. You can continue.
you both enjoy joy. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
And
this
not
is-
everybody in life enjoys
That's true.
joy as far as humor. I'll be up in the same way. Like I know a lot of TV comedy writers, and they don't enjoy
Brag.
joy. They're incredibly funny on the page, but they don't enjoy joy. Like it's been beaten out of them by. Oh, that was really
life.
funny. Yeah, no, but yeah, by life. But also, TV comedy rooms are particularly brutally famous for. You say the funniest thing that's ever been said, and the reaction is the monotone. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, that's
Very
really,
funny.
that's really good.
I couldn't thrive in that
Punch that up some.
environment.
Yeah, but the over. I mean, some rooms are not that, but a lot of them are. You know.
Well, I have this memory of probably like an early crisis because I like to laugh. I guess I enjoy joy, as you say. I remember being grade 9, so I went from middle school to high school. And in middle school, I was like the smart kid.
Yeah.
And then grade 9, like, all right, my personality is the smart kid. And then I met this guy who had a paper published or something in grade 9.
In grade 9,
Ludicrous.
Wow.
And I was like, I can't be the smart
Was it
kid.
ludicrous before he started recording, or was it? That took out. It was such a stupid joke. I'm sorry.
Early days, yeah. He was going by,
I don't
His-
know.
his Christian name?
Alana Morissette, I think was what the real
Alana
name.
Morissette. Yeah, that's
I
it.
think that's a callback.
and I was like, well, I need to have a new personality now.
You got to book a date, very jokes, and decided to just take them on the
No,
road.
I just, I don't think you can actually change your personality the way I'm describing it, but I sort of wanted to develop other things and started paying attention to my funny friends and how they're doing it to find your way to the punchline. Because I feel like part of it is that when you learn about comedy, whether in a course or whatever, just by observing, you get these tools you can use, and you can use them to try to make something that's not funny a little bit funny. But when you use them on something that's already funny, it really takes it up a notch.
I'm fun motivated and I hate being bored.
Ooh,
So-
wait, say that again. You're fun motivated?
Yes.
Yeah. All
Like
right, I
enjoy,
like that phrase.
enjoy, same thing, but like I think of it as fun. I want to be having fun.
Yeah.
And that can be anxiety producing because I can do the thing of like, am I having more or less fun than I was having 15 minutes
Right,
ago?
let's
and then
quantify this, yeah.
And then what decisions could I make in my life to get more fun in the path of my life?
Right.
Which that can go down the dark road. But generally, it also means that I do a lot of things to put fun in front of me. I organize things. I like hosting parties. I like seeking out and chatting with the people that I find the funnest, such as these two funny gentlemen right in front of me. Let's
Hey.
All right,
let's
compliments.
put compliments back on the table. But it's
Finally.
the sort of similar high school experience too, where it's like when I graduated high school, I was so sure that I'd get the art award. There's one award given out for every different subject in school.
Right.
And you don't like
That was
apply
yours to
for it.
lose.
Yeah, I thought it was mine to lose. I was wrong because there was someone much better and more like, I was doing really stupid stuff with my drawing in high school, but I was in art classes and I took it all the way to the top. And the way they did it in my high school is at the grad ceremony, after you get your diploma, they pull you to the side and are like, you're going to get one of the, subject awards or whatever they were called. And I was like, well, I'm out here. I must be winning the art award. But I'm like, oh, there's Cam Santer. If he's out here, he's getting it. So what am I out here for? And it turned out I got an English award, which is the first time that I was like, oh, is writing something that I can do? They're giving me an award for it. Like I
guess I might be good at it.
I truly didn't ever identify as that. I'm like, I loved English class and like worked hard at it and like creative writing. Didn't connect those things. That's just something I did on the side. What I was the drawing girl.
Right.
And yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is when conversations are boring to me, I'm going to tell jokes so I'm having a good time.
Oh.
So when we're making you laugh,
Oh, this is the deepest cut. I have offered nothing but compliments. I have served up beautiful bouquets of compliments, and I get back.
you
Oh.
instantiated so many compliments, and I've got no compliments. I just absorb and cut.
So let's bring it
nice.
full circle to wrap it up then. Do comics represent you seeking out fun?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me answer for Jillian.
That's what I prefer.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it if it's work. In fact, I once took a comic writing job that I was like, I'm not super interested in this, but I'll give it a shot. And it was the first time in my life where I would sit down to write a comic and be like, oh my God, I'd rather be doing anything else.
Right.
It was so much effort, so much labor that normally wasn't there. Normally it's like, oh boy, I've got 3 hours this morning to write my little make-em-ups. and see what happens.
Oh my God. I'm calling this episode Make 'em Ups. That's what we're going to.
Oh, that's nice. I wish I felt that enthusiastic about it. I do early on, but I also struggle with excitement early that I struggle with follow through. That's the thing I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I almost couldn't follow through that sentence, so I really delivered the point.
You delivered on the promise. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
No, but I'm like
promise.
you. I'm like you. It's all pep and vigor when I start, and then in the process, I'm like, what have I done?
The difference between me and the both of you is that you both
talented. Sheer talent. Sheer Rockefeller talent.
And a full foot.
it's that both of you draw, and that is so much more of a labor-intensive thing.
I wonder, Jillian, if is that where we slow down in the joy? Is that the penciling and the layout and the
I mean, they
figuring
both.
it out?
I don't like following through with either of them, so that doesn't make a huge difference for me. But
right.
A part of the fun-seeking thing is also like when it starts to feel like work, I don't want to do it anymore. So I have to trick myself into it being fun. And as soon as somebody's giving you an advance and some money, and there's some deadlines on the table, and people have expectations, it becomes a lot more challenging for me.
Right.
It's like I've always. In school, I needed to always be ahead, and then I'd stay ahead. But if I fell behind, I'd fall way behind.
And then the anxiety kicks in, and then it becomes a loop of
very difficult to catch up if I've fallen behind. But if I stay ahead, then I kind of feel like I'm gaming the system. And I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm ahead of everybody. These clowns haven't even finished reading the chrysalids. I'm done. Let's write an essay, like
the book on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. So I think I can assume that all three of us did the same in school. We were all probably pretty smart and probably ahead of most folks. But when I find myself falling behind in, I'm just going to say the words writer's block, where it's a lack of confidence for me, right? I've something either externally or internally is triggering a lack of confidence. And I have sort of got a bag of tricks to pull myself out of writer's block. And I'm curious how you both, in those moments, two of the most joy-filled, good-looking people that I've ever met, that have got nothing but a smile to brighten up the day when the sun's behind the clouds. How do you do it? How do you bring that magic?
Well, can you tell us what some of those tricks are?
My tricks are?
Yeah.
I've got them ready for you right here. I'm happy to just go right to my bag of tricks.
Are they paywalled? Is this a Patreon situation?
To find out more, get the bonus
I'm
episode.
about to say that I'm not yet. No.
A low price of $12.99. You can hear all of Dave.
Because it's a lack of confidence.
Dave of tricks.
What I will sometimes do, and there'll be 5 or 6 of these, but you can pick from which ones you like.
Power posing. Can we guess?
Power. I go into the bathroom, my hands on the hips, and I do my Superman or Wonder Woman, depending on how you want to say it. What I do is I remind myself that I should trust myself, because it's often a confidence thing. So I'll read back through my archives or old work that does continue to make me chuckle, where I'm like, that Dave was a good Dave. He did a good job, right?
Too bad I lost all those skills this morning.
Yeah. I remember him. Rip, good Dave.
And then I will read the people that made me want to write humor. So I'll go back and read the 4 or 5 authors where I was like, every time they make me laugh. No matter what they do, they make me laugh. And I'm like, they were the people that made me want to do what I do. And then the third thing is what I'm doing right now, which is actively hanging out with joy-filled, fun-seeking people who make me up my game, because I think there's a lingering serotonin release that lasts a couple of days later when I'm really on fire with friends that I love, trying to make them laugh. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And so if I've been too alone, and that's a real thing in my life sometimes, where like I just don't see a couple adults for a while, I need to get out and see friends and laugh for at least a couple hours. And then that serotonin kind of lingers, where you're really trying to make them laugh, because you just want to make your pals laugh. It's such a sweet feeling. And so that's what I do. But so now to both of you, what do you do?
For me, because I've been working on this story for a while and I've been kind of stuck for a bit, I reread what's there and I'm like, this is good. And usually it's less of a block and more of just like, what I'm writing, I don't think is very good. And the only thing I know how to do is to go away, come back, try different approaches. If this isn't working, maybe that's not where the story needs to go. Let's try a different approach and bring that through. If this character isn't working, maybe get rid of the character. I change the character's name sometimes to be now I'm thinking of a different person. If I'm basing the character off of a friend, I can change the friend.
Right.
Like just trying to find something that is working better.
That bird did not agree with your
Yeah.
opinion on that. That was a bad idea.
Yeah,
You're
me
a
and-
fool, Ryan.
Dave and I are eagerly awaiting being included in the Marvel Universe via your tales.
I really hope that I'm inserted into FF, which stands for again. What was that?
Freaky Fantastic.
The Freaky
Fabulous
Friends.
Furry Freak Brothers. Was that what it was?
Yeah. It's the FFF. I mean, FF, when you're writing for other people's characters, is a little bit easier because you have usually a bunch of references, like 80 years of character for these people.
Right.
And so it's less of you're stuck and more of like, what can I do that is at least as good as everything that's come before so I don't embarrass myself?
Really? You think that's easier? Because I think I would find that harder. Wouldn't you, Jillian, to find that harder?
That sounds so pressure filled.
Yeah. Like,
Well-
how do you match old Stan writing Fantastic Four?
Okay, the real secret
That's
is
the secret. Is
the
how do you-
secret is that you don't. Like, if this is maybe too much in the weeds of FF, but like
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four has classically been big cosmic adventures. And my run is little tiny short stories that mostly take place in small towns on Earth. So I'm going in an opposite direction so that I'm not trying to out-Jack Jack or outstand Stan. I'm just trying to do my own little thing.
And
You
when
wouldn't want to be out jacking
Can
because
I ask
then
you a
the
question?
suck fairy comes.
Because you've intentionally placed the stories in smaller
it when I said
towns.
it.
Have you thought, just for fun, inserting one of the stories into a small, maybe a Quebecois town, where the Fantastic Four could come in? Jillian, what would
Go
that
on,
moment
Dave.
be like if?
Oh, bonjour! Mon petit Charles! Your marble, Petit Charles is making a...
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
but let's say the Fantastic Four saved a small boy in that town, Jillian, and
A little Quebecois boy.
What would that Quebecois boy say to the Fantastic Four, or perhaps to Mr. Fantastic?
Would he perhaps say, Merci, Monsieur le Fantastique?
Oh my God. This is how we get canceled, is the
Yeah, okay.
Quebecer audience
We do
comes
love
out
and
being like,
do book signings in Quebec.
linguicide. Yeah.
Anyway, no. So, okay, when you're writing FF, which is short for Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Sorry, Brian doesn't have time to say the full name. Sorry, everybody.
He's a busy man.
He's got places to go.
Got places to go, people
that's
to see.
That's a lot of
People to
consonants and
disappoint.
syllables and vowels in there. It's just FF at this point.
Choo-choo's coming through, and if he misses it, there's not enough for days.
Oh, boy, sweetheart.
But so saying you're not trying to outstand Stan, you're not trying to out-Jack Jack. Why did I say that out loud? Damn it! But you're not trying to outstand Stan. What are
You're
you
just trying to
do
outsuck
then?
the suck fairy.
I'm trying, I mean, selfishly, strategically, I'm trying to looking across this giant farmland and find a little bit of field that's untilled.
Oh,
So that when I go there, people are going to be like, Stan tilled this field much better 60 years ago. Like, oh, I never saw that. That's interesting.
so you're exploring the negative space of what hasn't been done. is
Yes.
What you're saying. Oh, okay.
With the caveat that you can't go so far that it's no longer Fantastic Four. You have to stay true to the core of the characters and the concept, but also find something new to say and do with them. So you're not just doing karaoke and playing the hits.
Right.
That's-
Okay.
That is a very clever solve. That's
yeah,
a good way to think of it.
I'll
Is
be
this
honest, I didn't see it
problem-solving
that
moment.
way in terms of exploring negative space. Okay. What are your tricks, Jillian? Well, that doesn't really answer the question of how you
I
answer
dodged it.
writer's block, though. You fooled me with your
yeah.
negative space
And
exploration.
fancy talking.
Just a bright smile and a fancy bit of wordplay.
The other thing,
Silver-tongued devil coming at you.
the other thing
He
I've
strikes.
done, which can help, is to do multiple things.
Cocaine.
So
No.
for-
I'm just kidding.
Using crack or cocaine to get high. That's what you say you love. Oh, no, that's licensed. Sorry, gonna have to cut that.
That's McGruff the Crime Dog, everybody.
For 12 years of my life, I wrote comics and also ran a advertising platform for cartoonists. And I could work on one thing in the morning, the other thing in the afternoon.
Right.
Now, when I'm just doing comics, I try to mix it up. I used to do it in the middle of the day, so I would do like Slaughterhouse-5 in the morning and Squirrel Girl in the afternoon. I stopped because for some reason, after doing this World War II black comedy book, my Talking Squirrel comic felt like a bit of a tonal shift. I wasn't really in the mood for it. But like doing this is going to be a Slaughterhouse-5 week. This is going to be a Fantastic Four week.
Yeah.
And if I get stuck on that on Wednesday, I'm like, well, okay, forget it. I'm going to try something else. I'll go play with this novel or whatever.
Right.
So that, yes, you've got writer's block at a wall here. Go do something else. When you come back, fresh set of eyes, the suck fairy might have come and changed things.
Right.
You're facing a different problem by giving it time.
Jillian, how do you in the past, how
I agree.
have you fought writer's block or the lack of confidence
How
or
have
the
you
lack of
surrendered writer's block?
Oh, boy. I mean, I'm surrendering it now. In the past, what I did wasn't super healthy. So it's not, I'm happy to talk about it, but it's not something I'd recommend anybody do because I just nose to the grindstone my way through it. Because my first books, they were back to back, tight deadlines. It's very reassuring to hear from other cartoonists. It's like, oh, I take this many years to do a book. I was very much expected to do them in 18 months or less, and everything start to finish. And it
last
ended up
night, for
taking
example, we
longer.
heard a book that was 6 years, 7 years, 8 years in the making.
Yeah. And so, like, not having done it before, I just would go to my studio and stay there for about 16 hours a day.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And like often 6 days a week, often 7 days a week.
Wow.
Because
It's a good thing that burnout's not real.
yeah, this
and
is
that the
it.
body can go forever, it turns out.
The
Yeah.
body doesn't keep
It
the score.
doesn't keep the score. Yeah, it's
It'll just keep instantiating, so it's fine.
well, and what you were saying before about needing to like refuel with friends absolutely was the case for me, where I'd just be like, I'm bone dry, I'm a husk of a human being.
Right.
And I would have to like make a coffee date with someone so that I could just like remember what human contact was like. But there was like a self-torture element in those early ones because I wasn't sure I could do it.
Right.
So I'm like, I will not allow myself to drop the ball on this and like allow it to go fallow and just,
If I fail, it won't be for a lack of trying.
Right.
That's right. So I just like ground my bones to make my bread, and that's how it went.
Quite literally ground your bones.
But
turns out osteoporosis is real.
It's so real.
Well, only because my recording device is at 3% now. Let's end with one fun thought. So what is your favorite comic that you would like to recommend everyone try? Maybe it's FF, which is short for Fantastic Four. I don't know.
Okay, I'll give you a recommendation.
We heard of the Fantastic Four written by Ryan North.
I've only heard a shortened version there.
We're like an FF.
We were talking earlier, I was talking earlier about being impressed by seeing things done with a medium that I haven't seen done before.
Yep.
And of all the contemporaneous cartoonists who create work, the work of Jason Shiga has the highest record for knocking my socks off with something that I've never seen before.
Wow.
He's very inventive. He's very clever. One time I was chatting with him, and he was talking about making, those things you fold your hands to tell you who you're going to marry? You fold
Yeah.
You go bit, bop, bit, bop.
Yeah, there's fortune
and you
tellers.
unfold it, and it tells something.
And you get an apartment for 4 or something.
Yeah.
So you can unfold those once or twice. He came up with a way to go 4 deep through folding paper, and he's like, I think I invented a new shape. And I was like, sorry, rewind. We can invent shapes. And he was like, I looked in the research and there were different shapes, but this wasn't one of the shape described in the research. And I was like, I have never invented a new shape in order to tell a story.
Yeah.
This is a level of achievement that I didn't even know was possible.
Right.
So his books are also very clever and very fun, very joy-filled. So I would recommend anything by Jason Shiga.
That's great.
I'd have to say, when I was working on my books, I made a rule for myself that this is very much the opposite of where you guys were coming from. I had a rule where I couldn't look at anything that's better than I could do.
That's a great rule.
It just made me, it was so discouraging. It cut my heart out. And I was just like, well, what's the point? I can never make this, so let's not. But if I looked at books that are at the level I could attain, and worse, then I'm like, well, at least I'm better than this. This is what I'd correct on this. This is how I do it. And it made me feel competent. And some of the books that I had to immediately cut off my shelf were anything by the Tamakis. It's like Gillian and Mariko. Gillian's artwork for me is like the platonic ideal. And I was lucky enough to work with Mariko several times where she was she's been a real mentor to me actually in my career, and sort of is why I ended up doing comics. I got to audit a comics class of hers, and then she brought me on to do a few small little things. I got some writing credits, and she's like, well, now you can get grants in the Canadian system. So when I had my Shirley and Jamila idea, I applied for a grant on her urging, and specifically with writing credits I wouldn't have had otherwise, and got grants, and then was forced into doing the book because money was now on the table.
Get you. Yeah.
That is how they get you. And like, I couldn't be more grateful, but it was like, I can't read her or look at their collective work. If you're not familiar with the Tamaki cousins, race out their cousins. One's the artist, one's the author, but they very much are stewards of like we're co-creators because, the art tells the story and they go back and forth and they collaborate. So it's
Great
like,
work.
it's incrable. Gillian Tamaki's art is just
Those are two
mind-blowing.
fantastic suggestions. Those are really good. And I will just chime in with a third, which is the work of Ryan and Gillian to end off this discussion. See what I did? See what I did using the power
Very
of friendship?
sweet.
I've backed you both right into that corner of getting one last compliment. Thank you, friends, for sitting and talking. This has been a delight.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Absolutely. Megawatt charm peepers just drilling into my skull right
Yeah.
now.
Well, you guys are a delight. Thank you very much for doing this, and do absolutely go out and check out their work. I could love two people no more than I love these two.
Aw.
Buttery fingers right here.
And thank you so much to Gillian and Ryan for sharing their time with our Comic Lab audience. That was a fantastic interview. Thank you so much. That was really an enjoyable listen.
Oh, they're a fun duo. It's a Canadian sandwich, or I guess it's an American sandwich because I'm an American. They're both Canadian. That would be an American
You'd
sandwich,
be
right?
the meat in a Canada sandwich, yeah.
I'm the meat in a Canada. Well, no, because you don't try to describe a sandwich based on the bread, do you? You describe it based on. So it's an American. That seems cruddy though, because it's two Canadians. So they should be.
No wonder we can't do the 1, 2, 3 game. We can't even agree on what a sandwich is called.
You know what? It's a delightful threesome. That's what it is. It's what it is. So anyway, as a friend, I'm going to
threesome. That's a lot less awkward than a Canada sandwich. Yes, let's go on calling you and your group a delightful threesome. I like that. I
will say, as a friend, when this podcast ends, go treat yourself to Shirley and Jamila Save Their Summer, and then Shirley and Jamila's Big Fall. A reminder, it's a Doug Wright Award winner. And then for Ryan's work, I recommend you go check out FF. And for those, again, that don't have time in their busy day to say the full phrase, that's going to be Fantastic Four from Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. But now, it's FF as far as I'm concerned.
I'm kind of jealous because one of these days I'd love to write the A. Wouldn't you?
Wouldn't you? Is that the Avengers? Is that what that is?
Well, of course. I can't say all those syllables. Either the A or the ASM. I think it would be fun to write.
I just want to write a backup story in the X. I just thought the X would be so fun.
Or maybe the IH, I think would be nice.
The IH, the International House of Pancakes. What's IH?
Yes, that's exactly right. the international. At the risk of completely screwing this up, you got to give me one more chance to save this relationship. We got to do the 3-2-1 game. And we are going to make it this time.
I will do one more round of 3-2-1 game. Okay, you ready?
Right.
I'm going to count down from 3, 2, 1. Let me think of a word. All right. Are you ready? On your mark. So 3, 2, 1. Candle. I said candle. What did you say?
I said lamp.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay,
here we go. We got this.
Okay, we got this. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Light bulb. Well, that's essentially, I said light bulb. You said light.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Do we call that a win? Do we go one more round where I think we could go wildly askew on the next round?
That's just it. We're so close. We're far.
Yeah, we try to.
Let me think. We can't call it a win because it wasn't the same word.
Okay, light bulb and light.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? Let's do one more. Because if we land this plane, Brad, this is going to be the greatest moment in our friendship if we land this plane. If we don't, then I'm so excited to welcome Kevin McShane as the new co-host of Comic Lab next week.
Okay,
you ready?
I've got one.
Mine's kind of a big swing. I'm gonna say mine.
Okay,
you ready? Okay, here we go. Coming from light bulb and light. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Edison.
Incandescence.
Oh shit! I said Edison. You said incandescent. Oh damn it!
Yeah.
Well, gang, tune in next week. Our new co-host Kevin McShane will be joining me at the Comic Lab podcast. What a delight it's been, Brad. I want to thank you for 7 wonderful years on Comic Lab, Brad. It's been wonderful.
I hope you're happy with your new partner.
Oh God.
I'm sure you'll have many long hours of playing the 1, 2, 3 game together with Kevin. And let's just hope that. Listen.
What if Kevin and I nail it first try next week?
Oh my God.
It's like we don't even do a second round. The first word is just love.
Yes, the next time we're at a taping Wrong Way, we got to do each of us gets a chance to do the Wrong Way game with Kevin.
Oh.
And then, because you've been assuming that you're going to get rid of me.
Oh, that's right. And whoever gets it with him gets him in the divorce. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah. I think our therapist would recommend that. That's a smart move.
And then maybe next week you're going to hear Kevin say that you've been listening to Comic Lab, the show about making comics and making a living from comics.
Your hosts have been my friend Brad Geiger, who associates incandescence with light bulbs, even though most light bulbs are now LED, which I don't want to make too big a bone about, but I think Edison was a better choice in terms of who created light bulb and light.
And who created light? Yes, go on.
You've been listening to my friend Brad Geiger, the editor of webcomics.com and the creator of Evil Inc., and I guess still the co-host of the new drawing show over at wrongwayshow.com.
and my friend who is old and could only be assumed to remember things like incandescent light bulbs. And Dave Callett, the co-director of the comics documentary Stripped, and the cartoonist of Sheldon at sheldoncomics.com and Drive at drivecomic.com, and another one of the wonderful co-hosts along with our friend Kevin McShane of the new drawing show, wrongwayshow.com.
And the Comic Lab theme song is used with permission from Andy Creighton at theworldrecord.net. And this episode was edited by the ever wonderful Matt. I was just going to leave it at that. There you go, Matt.
Yeah.
The ever wonderful Matt Woodard of Woodsong Productions over at www.woodsong.media.
If you love Comic Lab, you can rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and you may hear your review featured on a future episode. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Spotify, where we are burning up the podcast charts.
And Comic Lab is made possible by your continuing support over at patreon.com/comiclab. So we'll go ahead and say that twice. Patreon.com/Kevin, call me. Kevin, call me. All right, Brad, one last attempt.
Okay,
The 3, 2, 1
come on,
game.
we
Ready
can
for this
save
one?
this, ready.
We can do it this one. Okay, here we go. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Kevin McShane checks all my boxes.
Oh, see? We're united when it comes to Kevin McShane.
The one thing we can agree on is Kevin.
I mean, listen, he checks all my boxes.